This is the Superpowered Mind podcast for inquiring individuals who are tired of the struggle for peace, happiness, and clarity. I'm Claire Diamond, ready to help you explore the principles of the mind, the self, and reality to unlock ultimate mental freedom. This podcast is the one to listen to if you're ready to experience the capabilities of the superpowered mind. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 16, and today we're looking at what is a healthy ego. So the Cambridge Dictionary refers to the ego as the idea or opinion that we have of ourselves. So what we can consider the ego to be is the ongoing conscious experience of existence, isn't it? And of what I am in relation to that experience of existence. So the current understanding of what we are is very individualistic, and it's focused on that ego, so that experience of being as being an entirely separate entity, an entity that is able to choose behavior, make independent decisions, that exists in its own right, as distinct from the environment and the reality in which it finds itself, distinct from the way other people appear. And that ego, that idea of self can, in this theory of what it is, that ego can be built up, can become more confident, can have more and more self-esteem, more sense of value, more sense of worth, until it becomes healthy. That's the goal, isn't it? The healthy ego is an ego that has a real substantial belief in itself. And the really interesting thing for us all to consider is that actually that is a completely unhealthy ego. It's not a sane mind that is believing that this idea of what I am, and believing that it's possible that there is an idea of me that is separate from how other people appear and how environments and circumstances appear. None of that is possible, because if we consider that the ongoing experience of existence, everything that arises from one moment to the next, in terms of the content of that experience, is being created from within. It really looks, doesn't it? Of course, it looks as though it's all external and exactly as it is in an objective reality. But we could consider that the entire perception is continually distorting, excluding, adapting, changing, adding meaning and associations, prioritizing. So according to the perception, a reality is created. And within that reality is this ego, is this idea of me as a separate, independent being. And when the entire culture puts all the focus on the security and the stability of that ego and of how good it feels itself to be, how able it is to control its environment and control its emotions and to change the world so that it is feeling validated and secure. No wonder we're all so exhausted and in such conflict and trying so hard to do what is impossible to do. And it's because this understanding of the ego is completely inaccurate and illogical. Because really what a healthy ego is a healthy understanding of how the mind works, of how reality appears, and of where behavior comes from, and of what creates the experiential content of moment-to-moment living, moment-to-moment existence. That's a healthy ego, because that is the conscious mind in which there is this conscious experience of what I am. In a healthy ego, that conscious mind has settled into the attention or the consciousness, the presence in which everything arises. There is no distinction then. The conscious mind settling into that infinite consciousness, watching everything as it arises and not believing it. And in particular, taking stress and taking believed separation, taking an experience of being that is contracting into the defense and protection around an identity. A healthy ego is taking that stress as a sign that there is something at stake in terms of believed survival that is entirely a creation of the mind, that is unrelated to what is actually happening now. And so the first element of a healthy ego is the conscious mind continually being prompted by stress, by tension, by a move into fight or flight, a move into separation to get sane, to move from that protective mechanism into pure observation. What is really going on here? Because now that's a mind that is pure attention, engaged with reality, to really see in an animal way, really deeply sensitive, deeply tuned in to actual information, what is happening, rather than a conscious mind in all its belief systems, in all its associations, in all its projections and fabrications, fighting its own creations. So it creates these threats and then fights or runs away from them. And so this healthy ego knows that stress is the sign to get still, to return to pure consciousness that is ultimate truth. Then it's interesting then, because then the second element of a healthy ego is the understanding of no free will. And gosh, it's so untalked about. It's really, it's just an assumption, isn't it, that there is a separate independent me making decisions. But how can that be when everything has been learned and continues to be learned and changed and dissolved and dropped according to subconscious processes that no one is in control of? So all behavior is coming from the subconscious landscape, and all words are coming from that space. Language was learned way before any sense of separation even. So the insane, unhealthy ego believes I am the doer. I am a separate entity. I am choosing to say these words now. That's what I am. But really, the healthy ego, because it has shifted, is continually making that shift into pure presence, is observing the words, is hearing the words, is noticing the behavior, is seeing the reactions and the responses. It's not owning them, because how can it? It's not a doer. The conscious mind is pure presence, so it can observe. And in that observation, which is completely sane, because there's no confusion around where those actions or words are coming from. They're the external manifestation of the internal conditioning. In that space of absolute sanity, there's total accountability, because these behaviors are coming from within this body mind. There's no undoing them, and yet they're being observed. They're emerging from within this unseen collection of beliefs. And because they're now observable And because they represent what cannot be seen, they're invaluable information that feeds back into the system. And this is a automatic and subconscious process, that feeding back of information into the belief structure, changing the beliefs along the way. Again, no one is doing that. It's just happening. And yet it's the way the body mind learns and it's the way it leaves behind past conditioning that no longer has any function, that is no longer valid or useful. It can only happen in that way. And there's no one doing it. And yet this conscious mind that is now watching this process is in total accountability, is in complete integrity, because it's recognizing that as consciousness itself, it is the space in which the entirety of reality appears. All other people, all events, all circumstances are arising within that space of consciousness. And so that conscious mind, which is shifting out of the individual and personal all the time into the universal and infinite, is completely accountable for the way everything appears. And so that's integrity. And that the acknowledgement of that is the means through which all behavior, all reactions and responses become more and more aligned to the truth that there is no separation. And that's such a powerful place to be, because all behavior then it doesn't mean that there's no boundaries. It doesn't mean that there's no stands that are taken or a voice that becomes increasingly strong. It's coming from sanity, and it's coming from a deep immersion in what is true. There's an ongoing question, what is true here? And a mind moving deeper into the world, deeper into questions of fairness and peace and non-violence and unconditional love, and what is genuinely progress in this world of form, from the perspective of it's all happening within me, I'm all of it, the world is ultimately safe in that space. And so that's a level of accountability that can never be possible when the ego is only about this individual me, securing the individual me and making that the focus of everything, making its value, its worth, its superiority, its purpose the only thing. So the powerful, strong, sane, healthy ego is in a continual process of the dissolving of separation and the continual taking on of ultimate accountability for the way everything appears. And that's all of our purpose, is for the mind to become sane, for the mind to settle into actual truth and to end its unfulfillable war with its own self. And that's ultimate mental and physical health. Yeah, so thank you everybody. Lots of love. Bye. Thank you for listening to Superpowered Mind with me, Claire Diamond. If you want extra support in the exploration of your mind, download our exclusive subliminal recording, especially for podcast listeners, on bit.ly/podcast subliminal.